Roger. Ready to move out.
Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. Hey, all right. So it's good to be back, and we're already hard to believe that we are practically this year is gone practically gone. Like 60 some odd days left in 2021. Hard to believe. Seems like we just turned the calendar over. But it is what it is. My favorite time. It's easy. This is kind of like my favorite time of the year. Going into November, December. So, two things I'm gonna get into tonight. Two things. One is a very interesting involving law enforcement. So the story goes is okay. What we as of recent, we've had a an influx of carjackings, which is just just really it's beyond belief or unbelievable. It really is. I always say carjacker, he's just a lazy criminal because he's too lazy to go out and steal a car the regular way, the old fashioned way. You don't want to put the work in, so you just want to take your car with the keys still in it. And sometimes even sometimes it gets to a point to where these knuckleheads want to take your life. Okay. It's unfortunate, but you can always get you another. You can always, if you got it, you can always get you another car. Your life, that's only one. You only get one of those. One. And this is the story is as it goes. This was in Evergreen Park, and this involved a CPD officer, Chicago police officer, in fact, a sergeant, no less. And she and her husband were in the Sam's parking lot over here, and they were accosted by, they were approached by three individuals, and they were told to give the car, give up the car. So, and that, and the officer complied. They complied, but in turn, as the individuals fled, as they took the car and fled, the officer drew her weapon. Okay, it didn't say her weapon. Okay, didn't say whether it was a service weapon or belong. It did say that she drew her weapon, and apparently discharged her weapon at the fleeing vehicle. Now, operative word in that was the fleeing vehicle. Okay, here's the problem with that. Okay, under CPD guidelines, you cannot shoot at a car fleeing the scene. You cannot shoot. Truthfully, you cannot shoot into an occupied vehicle that is fleeing from the scene, as they say, no longer poses a threat. Okay, so subsequently, this officer now, not only that, but she's in a lot of hot water. She's been charged with a felony. Now, my opinion on that is, she'd have done, but my opinion, and this is only my opinion, you're supposed to, law enforcement, this is, not, let me rephrase that, not so much as my opinion. Law enforcement is supposed to be held to a higher standard. Okay. Higher standard, and then at the same time, in the heat of the moment, and certain things in the heat of the moment, these things do happen. But they would have said that what she should have done was let the vehicle go, as she did, and then that's when you call it in, or she should have called it in and say that her vehicle's been stolen. She's a CPD officer, and what direction the vehicle took flight, and then go from there. But I can understand. I can understand um, the heat of the moment type of thing. I can understand that. You work hard just like I do, and a piece of shit decides to take your car. Okay, and that's what, and I think that's what anyone who may be in possession of a weapon, who would have known, that's someone you would do, in a normal situation. That's and that's with anybody. Heaven forbid, and Lord that doesn't happen. But if I had 9 times out of 10, probably if I had a weapon, I'm shooting somebody. I'm putting them down on the ground. Just make no mistake about that. That's just what's subject to happen. Um, and yeah, she's in a lot of hot water right now. She is. Let me pull this up right quick. Um, she's charged with a felony, and let me go to that right quick. Just I had it, I lost it. One of those things that happens. One of those things that happens. But that's this. It is what it is, and then, like they say, hindsight is 2020 vision. Um, she that's what they're saying on what she should have done. Um, as it goes on, this is what she's facing felony charges after allegedly firing her gun at a group of suspected carjackers. The officer was on off duty. The officer was off duty, and the named officer Onetta Simpson Carney was off duty allegedly when this happened. Prosecutors say 3 men approached Carney and her husband as they were loading their car, and one of them offered to help when the third jumped into the driver's seat and drove off. There was no indication. That the offenders had a firearm, but she is charged with reckless discharge of a firearm, which is a felony. Now she's looking at, she go get some. This is not a fireable offense, but she is looking at some time off. That is for certain, a suspension, and the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, or COPA, here in the city of Chicago, they're looking into that. They are definitely looking into that. Now, the other thing I want to get into is some of the things that we don't get a chance to really talk about is the activity of the Supreme Court. And this is the most active that I've seen the Supreme Court be, um or even do or participate. This is the most active that I've seen them in a long time, long time. And right now, they're taking up several things. They're taking up looking at the Second Amendment, which is the gun rights, and this issue down there in Texas concerning abortion, and a couple other things. But I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna circle the wagon. I'm gonna come back to that. What I do want to really address and get into is the thing is of this. They're getting to a point now where they're trying to mandate these vaccinations. Right now, the city of Chicago has mandated that that all Chicago police officers be vaccinated. Okay, we're let's look at that for a moment. Let's look at that, because Washington is trying to do the same thing across the board. Joe Biden is trying to this idiot is trying to do this. Okay, and see what's happening now is that certain aspects of the United States is becoming more of a dictatorship, more of a communistic dictatorship than a democracy, because now they're trying to um, uh, micromanage on what you can and can't do. Okay, that's just a little bit extreme, just a little bit extreme. But going to the Chicago police issue is that they wanted to mandate, and see what they wanted to do also. They if officers refused the vaccination, they were at risk of either being fired or suspended or fired, suspended upwards to 30 to 60 days, or complete or terminated. Okay. First of all, we already know that a lot of people have issues with this vaccination, already have issues with this. Um, and I'm, and make no mistake, I myself am one of them. I have an issue with this. I mean, because when you're saying, well, you need this vaccination, then you got to get a third, you got to get a second, and you got to get a third. Um, that's a little troubling, because if you're saying that this particular vaccination is working, and then you get a second dose, why is there a third and a fourth? Even sometimes, even they're talking about a fifth dosage. Why is that even necessary? When you were a child, when you were getting inoculated for your childhood shots, you only got them one time. There seems to be a serious issue here. Serious issue. Very, very serious issue. And this is one of the things that the president of the president of the police union, the FOP, Fraternal Order of Police, have taken. They have taken up this fight to say this is, first of all, this is unconstitutional. You can't arbitrarily just make someone get something that they don't feel comfortable with. And a lot of people are not comfortable with this. They're not. I mean, when you're talking about people getting the vaccination, then some people are still dying from it. That's a little puzzling for me. That's a little unsettling, a little bit puzzling. I know several people who have already said they're not getting it. I'm not getting it. And I don't care what people say. Oh, it's safe, this, that, and the other. According to whom? That is the real thing. According to whom? According to who is this safe? And you can't trust Dr. Fauci or the CDC. You can't trust any of these jackals, because this is a money making scheme. If you've been asleep for the last 18 to 24 months, that's what this really boils down to. It is a money making scheme. This is what it is. I mean, and not only that, but you have at least 5 different pharmaceutical companies that say that they have a vaccination and that works. And some say, well, this one is 75%, works 75%. This is at 75% successful rate. Another one is at 80, and then another one is at 92. Okay, what are we doing here? What really are we doing? What are we doing here? This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. None. And it's one of the things that where we've been talking about this for quite some time. And it's a little puzzle. It's not like this is a totally different aspect to where you're talking about someone who has type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes. There are different types of medications, but majority of them are coming from one to 2 pharmaceuticals. But when you have this, we're taking this vaccination, and then at the same time, you're trying to look up the drugs that the drug component concerning the vaccination, you can't even find it. You can't find it. And then they're telling people, then they're saying that they can't even tell you what's in it or its components. Once again, those should be red flags. They could be injecting you with placebo, straight water, saline, anything, just to convince people of this. And then here's the other thing too. The other thing is that, okay, they're telling you they're giving you the vaccination. What they're doing is that they're giving you COVID-19 so your body can recognize it. But at the same time, a lot of this is really it's really a hit or miss. It's like when they say, "Well, have you got your flu shot?" Well, no, I haven't got my flu shot. Well, why not have you got the flu shot? Well, because they're giving you if anybody's ever gotten the flu shot, they get the shot and then you get sick right after. Okay, that's the body. They gave you the flu so your body can recognize it the next time it comes around. No, that's all right. You know what? I'm gonna stick to what's been working for me. That's quite all right. Quite all right. Not gonna, now sorry, can't do it, can't do it, won't do it. Just doesn't make any sense to me. You're gonna give me something and then we go from there. No, I don't think so. None whatsoever. That's just some things that just doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense at all. None whatsoever. None. And so when we're talking about the police department and some of these officers are refusing the vaccination, and that's one of the things to where you can't arbitrarily tell someone they have to do something, especially if they feel uncomfortable, especially if this is not something that they don't really have the full knowledge or background on. I totally agree with that. I'm just, and then this is just throwing, before, just so that we're clear and before we get to, too far, just letting you know that the phone lines are early, or the phone lines are open. And I know it's early, but they're open now. If you have a comment or you want to chime in on this deal, when you do, keep your comments to 5 minutes. Give other callers an opportunity. But but if you want to call back to continue, that's it's fine. But just keep your comments limited. So this is where we're at. I'm gonna ask my man. I'm gonna ask my engineer, my man. So this is a quick. This is for you, Earl. What do are you comfortable with have you been vaccinated? Okay. Are you comfortable with it? Okay. Well, no, I can't. Okay. Because I can't hear you. Now, my man says he's been vaccinated. That's number one. And two, he's very comfortable with it. Okay. He's very comfortable. Now, on the flip side, there are people who are not. And it's the thing. And it's not to say, and it's not to say that I disagree with his decision. And that's not to. Yo, shoot. Okay. Yes. 5 million. Yeah. Now that's. Oh, they're gonna. They're gonna continue that. They're gonna continue to go up. That's a good chance. But I can't. But at the same time, I have to respect the opinions of those who feel uncomfortable with it, though. That's the. Right. I know. I'm not disputing. I'm not disputing that. I am not disputing that. Oh man. Well, look here. Let's say this: being in a hospital, period, is uncomfortable. It doesn't, and it doesn't matter what it is. Just being in a hospital, but we're here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if y'all didn't hear him, he said he hasn't heard one legitimate reason on why a person shouldn't get it. Not one. Okay. Right. So it's just it's a lot, and everyone. Well. When you now he mentioned this is how he had it. Now this is a good point too. When we mentioned the Tuskegee experiment, okay, when we mentioned that, okay, granted that happened, that happened 70 years ago, okay, and the fact that they did this purposely and they withheld treatment to these men, purposely gave them syphilis and gonorrhea, and withheld the treatment. And this was to see what the effect had on black men. This was the whole purpose of point of doing this. Now we're moving fast forward 7 decades later, we're here in another type of pandemic, where you know, even to this day, nobody has a clear-cut path on where it came from, how it started, and so forth. But we do know this: it is killing people. That's certain. And as of right now, to piggyback off what my man just said, as of right now, 5 million right now, as of right today, 5 million dead. 5 million. Now you figure you're doing the math, 5 million people. That's roughly that's a city. That's you might as well say the entire population of the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. You might as well say those, but then that general area, you might as well say everybody's dead. Or if you even further, the city of Los Angeles, the city of angels, 5 million. That is a populace. A populace. And I think, and you can, and people, you're more than welcome to disagree. But I think one of the things that where people are apprehensive of getting this is because of the so many lies that the government has put out there and perpetrated, and not enough truth. And here's the other thing too, also too, there's not enough truth that's being put out there. There's a lot of disinformation, keyword, not myth. There's also this MIS information, and a lot of DIS disinformation. Okay, those are two different meanings, but the information, we're not getting a lot of accurate information. And then most people are getting information, and a lot of it is either hearsay or third and fourth information, and so on and so forth. This is a thing, and this is one of the things to where we our medical community are so in the dark. And and I just really, it's just really terrible that a lot of these people are in the dark concerning this COVID disease, COVID virus, and the lack of the information concerning the vaccination. And like I say, and that's just my opinion. You don't have to share it, but the issue is that there's just too many people with their hands in this cookie jar, as far as what vaccination. You got the Johnson and Johnson, you got the Moderna, you have Pfizer, and that's just to name a few. To name a few. Give me something to where to where not only where it's, you're saying that it's 95 to 98% effective, but I'm familiar with the company that is producing it. I'm familiar with this. Okay, this is that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing. See, and looking at this, and Mark, I'm telling you, people, mark my words. I guarantee you $10 to a bag of shit that this particular type of situation, health situation, medical, this is going to wind up making its way to the Supreme Court. Make no mistake about it, because here's several things, and this is one of the things to where I'm gonna get into particular things that the Supreme Court is taking up, and they have, and to a point, and to a degree, they really have no choice but to listen, but to get involved, so to speak, get involved. So when you're looking at there's several hospitals or certain entities, and they're saying, well, we're refusing the vaccination due to a couple of reasons. One of them is freedom freedom of religion, and that's actually a term to where you are allowed to use this term for something that goes against your a better judgment or freedom of belief. This is the bottom line. Okay, for example, that you have a lot of beliefs that do not subscribe to certain types of science or medicine. Okay, give you a good example. For with say Muslim, say, okay, you're a Muslim. Okay, there's certain things that then when a Muslim go, they go to a hospital, they refuse certain levels, they refuse treatment. They refuse treatment, or they won't allow certain people to touch them, because this is, because it's, they're staying within their religious beliefs, or staying within the confines, or however. There are other beliefs that, okay, they some of them won't accept blood, and knowing, that some of them won't. Now, I'm gonna go into that a little bit. Now, to a degree, I can understand the part about, and like, and even to a point now where they say accepting blood. But see, what we also too know, they don't. It's not so much as that they're actually giving you actual blood; they're giving you platelets or plasma. But even to a point, there's some beliefs that won't even accept that. So a lot of these particular things are winding up, are slowly but surely, make grinding towards the Supreme Court, for the Supreme Court to intervene or to get involved right now. To get into that portion of the Supreme Court right now, the Supreme Court, and a lot of individuals are upset because the Supreme Court did not, um, uh, they did not intervene in the abortion law that Texas now has in place. And this is going to be a humongous fight. Now, and when we get to talking about the certain rights of an individual, particularly abortion, or the right to live, or certain things, it is a slippery slope. Make no mistake about it. It really, really is. There's a case right now, and this is how far this is going with the Supreme Court. Right now, there is a case that is in front of the Supreme Court at this right now, or that they're about to rule on. That what happened is that this individual went in, and I had to, and even when I heard the ruling, and then I had to go back and read the article on what read the argument, and like, okay, well, you know what, it'd have been nice if this person had have been upfront with them. So what happened, and what transpired was this individual, um we'll call him John Doe. I kid you not. Now hear the story first before you start scratching your head. John Doe went in for a procedure at a Catholic, to have a procedure done at a Catholic hospital. Okay, now when you're dealing with a Catholic hospital, if you've ever gone to a Catholic hospital, there's certain questions that they're going to ask you, and then that's going to determine the direction of healthcare that you're going to receive. Kid you not. So John Doe goes in and apparently sees the doctor and wants to have a procedure done. Now, the procedure that John Doe wanted to have done was a hysterectomy. Okay, now I know people like, what? Yes. Come to find out that John Doe was a Jane Doe who was transgender. See, we're starting to see when these things happen, they're starting to muddle the water. And see, this is the argument. This is what I'm gonna say. I will say this from day one to day 1,000. If you're gonna be a transgender individual. Okay, you're transgender or whatever. You like your little whatever, your ooh la la. Okay, that's your preference. But you have an obligation as an individual to let people know that this is who you once were and this is who you are now. Because if you don't, you're deceiving people. So this individual took this hospital to court, sued the hospital because the Catholic hospital refused to perform the hysterectomy on this woman, on this man that used to be a woman. The hospital is citing religious beliefs. They're citing religious belief. This is what the hospital is citing. Now, and their other argument is the fact that this individual was not forthcoming with them, stating that this person was transgender. Okay, now for those that are a little slow in the room, okay, when you were talking about two types of procedures of removing the reproductive organs from a man or a woman, okay, or stopping the process. Okay, for a man, it's called a vasectomy with a V, vasectomy. All you're doing is you are snipping you are cutting the supply line. Okay, that's just what you're doing. For a woman, you are now here's the thing about that. For when a woman is I don't want to get too far. I don't want to get too far left. There are several that, for a man to get a vasectomy, it's usually one, if one or two things. Usually it's one, because he doesn't, he no longer wants to have children. He wants no children. He doesn't want to have children anymore. So they're cutting the supply line. Clip. On the flip side, for a woman, if she's getting a hysterectomy, there are several reasons why this procedure is necessary. One, I'm just giving you a few. One, they discover that there are cancerous bodies within the area, that she no longer wants to have children, or that she no longer can have children, and is causing problems, as causing medical problems, such as when you talk about ovarian cysts, when you're talking about various other issues that she may be having. Okay. And that's one of the reasons to have the reproductive organs removed, or hence the term the hysterectomy. Now, the fact that this individual is now a man and wanted to have a hysterectomy, and they had to understand, or lack thereof, that this was not going to happen. So now the Supreme Court heard the case. The Supreme Court not only heard the case, but they kicked the case. Kick the can down the road. They refused to hear the case. So they sent it back to the lower courts for them to sort this out. My point in this particular case is that we have a lot of these individuals, and we are in a society of, you cannot tell the players without a scorecard. This is the true term, the meaning of who's who, and you're just sitting there with this gigantic question mark over your head, just giant question mark. But what we're dealing with now is that the Supreme Court is becoming more. This is the most that I've seen the Supreme Court this active. And not only that, but I like it. I like and as you all heard me before, I have a love for the law. I love the law. I love it. Okay. I like to see, and the law is good. The law is great. It's good when it works properly. Okay. That's what makes it great. Okay. So right now we have 9 justices, 6 conservative, 3 liberals, which is pretty much set for the next, that particular court is set for the next 50 years. Make no mistake about that. But we're at an era now to where a lot of the conservative things are starting to claw their way back into society, starting to make their way back into society. Such as, right now they have the Supreme Court ruled on a case to where a clergy member, they upheld a case where a clergy member refused to marry 2 same-sex individuals because it went against what he believed. what happened that these people had put this wedding together. They spent all this money and blah blah blah. And then when they got to the clergy member, and he discovered that these were two same sex individuals, he refused to do the ceremony. They sued him, and this made its way all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ultimately sided on freedom sided when he was using the religious freedom. Now we have to understand something too, people. This country, quote unquote, shocking as it may seem, was primarily founded for this very reason, religious freedom. Now we have to and I'm not going to that's really what this boils down to. And when you have the Supreme Court that has ruled on particular things, you can and there's and that's the idea, is that they're using that as the backbone, because this is how the country was built. This is what it was based on. This is why the colonists left old England to come to the new America to escape what? Religious persecution. Well, we can't do this, we can't do that. Well, we're going to tell you what you can and cannot do. Okay, to a certain degree, I get that. To a certain degree. But it should not be incumbent on one or to force someone to accept something that they don't agree. See, it's a difference between not understanding it. It's a total difference. It's a difference between not understanding something and not agreeing with it. I don't agree with I call it the alternative lifestyle. I don't agree with that lifestyle. I never have and never will. I don't agree. It doesn't mean that I dislike that person. I just dislike I just don't care for your lifestyle. Don't care for it. And this is one of the reasons on why the Supreme Court has been set this way, so certain things can so it can have sort of a kind of a hit the reset button, so to speak. And and at the same, and I know some people that I know this is just going to chafe their ass when I say this, but if you do, just get you some lotion. It'll be okay. Get some lotion and Vaseline or whatever. You're going to be okay when I say it. But I applaud the man for setting and I'm speaking of Donald Trump. I applaud that. I support that he set the Supreme Court back the way it should be, a level of conservative. And when we're talking about conservative, we're talking about common sense. Common sense. It was a guy, I cannot think of this politician's name, but this politician or celebrity or something like that. But he said this almost 30 years ago. And he said that the liberals are going to be the ones that are going to ruin this country. And I tell you, and he was never more right. Because it's the liberal attitude that has turned certain things, have turned certain things a certain way, have put things in a way, have emboldened certain people emboldened certain people and certain entities. One of the biggest things, this is the part about being liberal. The part about this is that this is also emboldening certain members of law enforcement to do what they do to people of color. There's a lot of that is happening and going around. When Dave Chappelle said what he said, people were upset. Now, here's the funny part. This is the funny part. When it's kind of, I say funny because who actually came out and supported Dave Chappelle and what he said, and said no, everything he said is true. I don't know why people are so offended about it, but what he said was true. Caitlyn Jenner, aka Bruce Jenner, who's now Caitlyn Jenner, actually supports Dave Chappelle in what he said. and said that she didn't take offense to it, but what he said was true. What's the problem? What is the problem? And the fact of the matter that Dave Chappelle, all he said was Dave Chappelle did what a lot of people don't do: address the white elephant, address the pink elephant in the room. That's all he did. That's all he did. This is one of the things of why where the Supreme Court is the way it is. It's time to start addressing the pink elephant in the room. It's time to start addressing that. There's a point to where with the Supreme Court, there has and also because legislation has not taken this particular issue up, meaning some form of police reform. This kind of ties people's hands. And as the justices of the Supreme Court said, is that we can't enact police reform until it's legislated or becomes legislated. There's not a whole lot we can do. There's a law in the books right now to where police officer, where certain things you can't sue police officers for. And not only that, here's the other thing, that that under a certain letter of the law, that police officers are immune. There's a level of immunity that they are granted under the law. Believe it or not, granted under the law. These are the things that sometimes we have to take a hard look at, a closer look at, to get a better understanding. When we're looking at the situation, a lot of things with the Supreme Court and what they're dealing with, such as right now, pretty soon, because right now they're slated to rule on DACA when they next year. Slated to rule on that. And the thing about that is that there's no legislation for immigration. There isn't any. There isn't, but they're sure spending a hell of a lot of time and money talking about climate control. A lot of that time and effort. A lot of that. See, one of the things that the Democrats are so afraid of is the fact that this conservative court is going to completely destroy everything that they're trying to do. And it's not going to get by. Here's the other thing that people are not paying attention to. This is why the Supreme Court sitting the way it's sitting is very important. We're coming up to the midterm elections, which I'm telling you, I see it happening. Mark my words. This midterm election, this is going to wind up turning the Senate back over to the Republicans, and the Republicans are going to gain additional seats in the House, which means the Republicans are going to are going to be back in control of Capitol Hill, which means that Joe Biden is not going to get anything done. Well, not like he's got anything done right now, but this is just going to be a complete stalemate. It's just going to be its crash and burn. See, what people need to realize right now is that Joe Biden is exactly who you all thought Trump was. Joe Biden is who you all thought Trump was. Here's the other thing that's happened to slip past the radar. Do you know that Donald Trump had put in place to fund HBCU colleges for the next 25 years. He had put that in place so they would receive money for the next 25 years. That was supposed to happen. Joe Biden rescinded that money. The HBCUs are no longer going to get this money. And some of them have already lost certain programs because they don't have the funding. Trust me, this is not something I'm making up. Just do your research, fact find. This is actually happening. Remember, everybody was like, "Woo, Kamala Harris, she's this, and our black sister from one of the BCUs. You haven't. She's as quiet as a mouse pissing on cotton right now. Remember now, she came from she went to Howard from one of the BCHUs. Not one word, not a single word, not one. So we got to pay it. We have to start paying attention. We have to start paying attention to everything that's going on from our three branches of government: the White House, Capitol Hill, and the Supreme Court. But the biggest one is the Supreme Court, because that is where really a lot of work gets done. That's exactly what happens. So, that's the thing. This dude, and when if you're paying attention and you're looking at it and being very, and even to a point, some things you have to start picking these things apart, picking them apart. I'm just I'm just looking at a couple of clips right quick. Someone says, okay, says Big Mike, climate change is real, and saying Biden 24. Okay, well, you know what? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But Mark, trust me, if you've been following politics as long as I have, you kind of see the winds of change developing. You kind of see that happening. You got to pay attention. We have to, and just a sidebar on part, we have to stop looking at things, and we have to start looking at things in black and white, and we have to stop looking at things for the reality of it and not in color. We have to start look at things for the reality of it. It may not be what you want. It may not even be what you think. But if you're taking a really good look at it, look at things for what it really, really is, not what you want it to be. Not at all. Not at all. That's one of the things that you have to start, you really have to start doing. And when we're looking at this situation, when we're looking at several things involving the Supreme Court, like I said, and this is the most active, if I'm correct, this is the most active that the Supreme Court has been since the mid 70s. But at the same time, the courts were conservative. That's what it was. Bless you. But when we look at things and look at the reality of it, the reality of the particular things that are happening, okay, this is the truth. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Okay, when we're talking about the Supreme Court and abortion, the reason that the Supreme Court skirted the issue on abortion, because none of them will ever agree as a collective whole to say yes or no. Now, just this case, just the case I was referencing, and just came across. I'm pulling that information. Now, the fact that the Supreme Court actually kicked that case, and this is the one concerning the transgender man. 3 members of the court said that the Supreme Court should have taken that case up. Should have. And 3 members of the court said that the Supreme Court should have taken that case up. Should have. And 3 members of the court said that the Supreme Court should have taken that case up. Should have. And 3 members of the court said that the Supreme Court should have taken that case up. Should have. and the others disagreed. Well, no, we don't. This is something that we don't want to. Let's kick it back down the road, back to the original court, to the original circuit court, who originally looked at this, and see if they can come to some type of compromise. That's the biggest thing. But it's going to be very, very difficult when you have when you have a hospital such as a Catholic hospital. Yeah, not hell, not so much even a Catholic hospital, but you could have a Lutheran hospital. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to reject this, and this is based on religious freedom. This is going to be based on the grounds of religious freedom. Religious freedom. Now, this, now I'm gonna address it. Now, this one I'm gonna address this here where it says climate change is real. You know what? I get that. I totally get it. But here's the thing, people. Here's the thing. Use some common sense as far as climate change is concerned. Climate change is concerned. Use a little bit of common sense. Okay. First and foremost, if we really want to talk about that, we did this to ourselves with the level of carcinogens and pollution that we continue to put back into the system, back into the atmosphere. We're not talking about we're not talking about clean burning fuel fuel such as, when we, our trucks and cars and buses, planes, things of that nature. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just everyday things of constant waste. Constant waste. For example, levels of exploration that we're going to places that we shouldn't even be, and we're disturbing the ecosystem. I'll give you a good example of disturbing the ecosystem. If you have a map, or you've even looked at one, there is a part of there's a set of islands in the south South Pacific, not South Pacific, is it South Pacific? Yeah, South Pacific, I believe. And it's called the Galapagos Islands. You know what's happening with this island because the ecosystem is because what's happening to this wonderful piece of this land, this wonderful piece of land is slowly deteriorating and eroding because man keeps going there and disturbing the ecosystem. There are just some things in some places that we were not meant to go. We can look at it from afar, we can admire it, but there's certain things we disturb. A lot of this we brought on ourselves because we disturbed the ecosystem. We disturbed the process of the nature of the process. We disturb that. Okay, prime example. What's the real reason for going to space? Really? What is the real reason? What's the real reason for going? What's the real reason for spending billions upon trillions upon trillions, I should say, trillions upon trillions of dollars to send a satellite or a spaceship or not spaceship, but a explorer vehicle to Mars to do what? Help me understand that. Help me understand that. That's money that could be put to good use elsewhere. If the good Lord wanted us to explore beyond our realm, if he wanted us to do that, there's certain things he would have done. Certain things. Now, the part about, he wants you to see these, he wants you to see these things, or he wants you to see them. Great, fine, okay. We know that there are other, now it's been proven, which you don't have to prove to me. I already knew that there are other galaxies and star systems elsewhere, places that we will never get to, because if you're doing your math, a light year, you'll never one light year you would never get there in your lifetime. You wouldn't get there. So why even bother? Why? We're talking, when we're talking about climate change, we're talking about the fact that of the ice caps, both north and south, they're melting and so what happens when they melt? They raise the sea levels. Why? Because of all the unnecessary pollution and the fact that we're living in it's created a greenhouse effect to where nutrients can't get through and the bad the bad air can't get out. This is something we've done ourselves, and wasting money, wasting money. But with that being said, that I've seen the lights flash in the distance, and the helicopter has landed, which means that's all the time that we have here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. And it's just come a thing, and somebody said Biden 24. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, you know what? Keep hope alive. Keep on dreaming. Keep dreaming, because this dude is not going to get another. It's not going to happen for him. It's too much that's going on. But everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm telling you, it's gonna. This is the political ground. It's going to flip, and it's going to wind up being other than what you thought. So with that being said, I will see you all in 2 weeks. And with that being said, not my monkey, not my circus.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Roger. Ready to move out.